Hello, everyone. I am Joel Campbell, teacher at Arden High School, and I teach mathematics, additional math, and pure math. So today we'll be going through 2023 CSEC paper. And the first thing that we need to do is read instructions because that is what will guide us into this exam. So as we revise to prepare, I hope that you have the mental fortitude and that you take it easy because math, it can be challenging at times, but when you put your mind to it, it is easy. So let us start. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So question 1, find the exact value of 5/6 plus 2/3 subtracting 12/35 multiplied by 7/9. So now, if you remember our rules, especially the Bomdas rule, you need to be careful when doing this question. So, just to make it easier for ourselves, we're going to bracket these. The 12/35 and 7/9, so that we isolate what we need to do first, so it is easiest for us. So let's go now. So we have 12/35 multiplying by 7/9. We're going to simplify where possible. So 7 can go into itself 1 time. 7 into 35 goes 5 times. And then for the 9 and the 12, we can simplify diagonally also by using 3. 3 into 9 goes 3 times. And 3 into 12 goes 4 times. So we get 4/5 multiplied by 1/3, which will then give us 4 times 1, which gives us 4, and then 5 times 3, which gives us 15. However, we need to subtract that from what we have over the left-hand side, which is the 5/6 plus the 2/3. So let me try to give a little division here, as in divide it, so it's easier to see. So first things first, we have 2 fractions that are unlike. We need to make them like. So we're going to find the LCM, which is the lowest common multiple, between 6 and 3, which are the denominators. So looking at 6 and 3, we could use 6, and then if we remember our steps, whatever we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator also. So for the 5/6, we didn't do much. We multiplied by 1. So that means that the numerator, we're going to multiply by 1 also. However, for the 3 to become 6, we multiply by 2. So we're going to multiply the numerator by 2 also, which gives us 4/6. So now when we add 5 plus 4, which is going to give us 9/6, and we bring that down, so now we can then take away, so let's carry it over this side. So we're going to have 9/6 minus 4/15. And again, we are faced with unlike fractions, so we need to find the lowest common denominator or multiple to then go ahead and change them to like fractions so we can go ahead to subtract. So now 6 and 15. To make this common denominator for us, we could have simplified 9/6 to an equivalent fraction. So we'll divide by 3, which will then give us 3 over 2 minus 4 over 15. So then now we're going to find the lowest common multiple, which is 2 times 15, which will give us 30. So then, following the same concept that we did earlier on, whatever we do to the denominator, we do also to the numerator. So we multiply the 2 by 15. So we also multiply the 3 by 15. So if you don't know your 15 times, don't worry, you should have your calculator. So you can simply multiply 3 times 15 to give us 45. And then on the other side, we multiply by 2 to get the 30. So we multiply 2 in the denominator, or multiply by 2 also in the numerator. So 4 times 2 will give us 8. So now when we subtract, our final answer should be 45 minus 8, which would then give us 37 over 30. All right. So now you could leave it like that if you would like, or if you would want to change it to a mixed number. 30 to 37 goes one time, which leaves a remainder of 7. So 1 and 7 over 30. All right. So pretty simple. Hope everyone is good. So now we continue. Calculate the value of the square root of 1 minus cos 37 degrees squared. All right. So this right here, we would need to use our calculator so that we are accurate with our response, and then we would simplify or correct to 3 decimal places. So let's go now. So we're going to have square roots of 1 minus, so let's put in our calculator, cos let's put in our calculator the square roots of 1 minus cos 37 squared, which will give us a long decimal, but it gave us the instruction to correct to 3 decimal places. So now we have 0, 6, 0, 1. So 601 would be our first 3 decimal places. However, the 8 beside the 1 would then change our 3 decimal places to become approximately 0.602. All right, because as you know, whatever is to the right, once it is 5 or more, we add 1 to the place that we're rounding. All right, so pretty simple. Is there any questions in the chat at this time? Is everyone good? All right, no questions. So let's continue. So write 0.00527 in standard form. So when we write numbers in standard form, we tend to write it in a multiplication form, where the first number is going to be between 1 and 10, which is not including 10. And then right after the multiplication sign is going to be a power of 10. So let's move the decimal point, because currently we have a number that is not between 1 and 10. So we need to move the decimal point until we get a number between 1 and 10. So we jump once. So we jump once, then twice, then another time to be between the 5 and the 2, because 5 is in between 1 and 10, so 5.27 would be our first number. However, we're going to multiply it by a power of 10, and there are some rules that apply. So now we need to decide whether this 10 is going to be of positive power or negative power. So our original decimal is smaller than what we have now. So that means that our 5.27 is bigger. So that means we're going to have to use a negative power. And the amount of times we jump would be the number. So we jump 3 times. There's going to be 5.27 times 10 to the negative 3. So let's continue. So here at part C, we have Haresh works at a call center for 35 hours each week. He is paid an hourly rate of $11.20. Calculate the amount of money Haresh earns in a 4-week month. So now, steps that we need to look at. So since it is in bold, a 4-week month, first, based on the information, we need to find how much Haresh makes in 1 week. And then afterwards, we can then find how much Haresh makes in 4 weeks. So let's go ahead and do that. So it was told to us that Haresh works for 35 hours each week and is paid an hourly rate of $11.20. So to do that now, we'd multiply 35 by $11.20. So we multiply the hours times the hourly rate. So hours multiplying the hourly rates. That will give us the weekly pay. All right. So now let's put it in our calculator, since remember, if we are in the exam, we are pressed for time. So we have to make all seconds count. So 35 times 11.20 will give us $392. And that's the amount that he makes for 1 week. So now, to calculate for 4 weeks, we're then going to have to multiply by 4. So it's going to be 392 multiplied by 4. And again, we can use our calculator, which then gives us $1,568. All right? And you get your 2 marks very easily. So let's move on. So in part 2, it says in a certain week, Haresh works 8 hours overtime. Overtime hours are paid at 1.5 times usual rates of $11.20 per hour. Find the total amount of money Haresh is paid for that week. So first things first, we need to figure out the overtime rate. So to do that, we're going to multiply 1.5, which you could rewrite as 1.5, and we're going to multiply that by the usual rate, because it is 1.5 times the usual rate. So to find our overtime rate, which is equal to 1.5 times, so I'm using OR for overtime rates. So we'll put that in our calculators. 1.5 times 11.20, which gives us 16.8. All right. So next, we need to find the overtime pay, because remember, Harish works 8 hours overtime. So then we're going to find the overtime pay, which I'm using OP. So it's going to be 16.8 times 8, since it's 8 hours that he worked for overtime. So let's also put that in our calculator. So 16.8 multiplied by 8, which gives us $134.40. All right. So that is overtime pay. However, we are not finished. We did not calculate the total amount as yet. So that's the overtime rate. So the next thing, which is the third step, we're going to use his 1 week pay that we calculated in part 1 of this question, which is the 392. All right, because that is his one week's pay. So let's go now. So to find the total, we're going to add 392 plus 134.4, which will then give us $526.40. All right. Hope everyone is understanding. Any question? All right, not at this time. So everybody is finding this part easy. So let's continue. So number 2, simplify 4 over 5x multiplying by 15x over 16. So now, we are going to simplify diagonally, which is going to help us to simplify as much as possible. So let's go now. So we can simplify the 4 and the 16. 4 into itself goes 1 time. 4 into 16 goes 4 times. And then we also can simplify the other way also, diagonally. The 15x and the 5x have coefficients of 15 and 5, which are able to simplify by 5. So dividing by 5 would have 5 into 5x, which will leave us with x, and 5 into 15x will leave us with 3x. So then we will go ahead and we'll have this 1 over x multiplied by 3x over 4. And just like normal fractions, we would multiply numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. So we'll end up with 3x over 4x. All right? And that is simplified. So now, solve the inequality. (12 minus 4m), which is less than but equal to 5 minus 8m. So we're going to solve this inequality by making m the subject. All right? So let's rewrite this. So we're going to have 12 minus 4m, and we're going to make m the subject. So we're going to carry the m's on one side, and we're going to carry the constants on the other side. So we're going to move the 8m, and currently the 8m is negative. So to move it, we're going to have to use positive 8m on both sides. So this would cancel, which would leave us with 5 on the other side, and then negative 4m plus 8m would then give us positive 4m. I carry back down to 12. So now we're still not finished. We need to move the 12 next so that we can continue on the journey of making m the subject. So to carry 12 over to the other side, it is currently positive. So to carry it over to the other side, it has to be, we have to use the negative counterpart, which will cancel. And we do it on both sides. So then we'll have now 4m less than but equal to 5 minus 12, which would then give us 7. Negative 7. So now, to make m the subject, we're going to divide through by 4. And our answer is going to be m less than but equal to negative 7 over 4. All right. Any questions? All right. So we're moving nice and smoothly. All right. So let's continue. So in part C, we have a compound shape where LMN, PQR made from 2 rectangles. The lengths in the diagram, which are in terms of x, are in centimeters. All right. So now we need to analyze this diagram so that we can go ahead to answer the following questions. So now it asks us to find an expression in terms of x for the length of PQ. So to do that, we need to analyze where PQ is. So here we have PQ, but there's nothing there. So we have to use our surrounding sides, which are similar and is going in the same direction, which is vertical. So we have LR going vertical and MN going vertical also. So we could subtract LR from MN, which would then give us, so MN subtract LR, which would give us 3x minus x plus 3. So when we simplify this, we'll have negative x, negative 3, and we can go ahead to continue simplifying, which should give us 2x minus 3. So that would be our expression for PQ. So now RQ, we're going to do something similar. So this time RQ is a horizontal line. So to help us find it, we're going to need all the other horizontal lines, or horizontal sides. So we have LM, which is horizontal, and PN, which is horizontal. So to get RQ, we could subtract PN from LM. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we're going to have LM subtract PN. Which would give us 4x minus 5 minus x plus 1. So now we would have 4x minus 5. We simplify the negative inside the x plus 1, which would give us negative x and a negative 1. Continue simplifying. We're going to use the like terms, 4x minus x, which will give us 3x. Then the constants, negative 5 minus 1, should give us negative 6. All right? Pretty simple. Any questions? All right. So let us continue. So given the total area of the shape is 414 centimeters square, show that x squared plus x minus 72 is equal to 0. So here we have a little guide. Area of compound shape is equal to area of rectangle A plus the area of rectangle B. So now looking at our compound shape, we could actually cut the shape into 2 rectangles. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You could do it either vertically, or you could also do it horizontally. So I'm choosing the horizontal. So let's call up here rectangle A and down here rectangle B. And let us fill in the size that we have found, where RQ is 3x minus 6 and PQ is 2x minus 3. All right. So to find the area, similar to what we normally do, length times width. So for rectangle A, it's going to be 4x minus 5 times x plus 3. And then for rectangle B, it's going to be 2x minus 3 times x plus 1. So let's go ahead and write that down now. So for rectangle A, 4x minus 5 multiplied by x plus 3 plus the area of rectangle B which is 2x minus 3 multiplied by x plus 1. All right. And it told us that the area is equal to 414 centimeters square. So now we need to show that x squared plus x minus 72 is equal to 0. So to do that, we need to expand our left-hand side and simplify where possible. So expanding the left-hand side, we're going to distribute. So we're going to have 4x multiplying the x, 4x multiplying the 3. So we're going to get 4x squared plus 4x times 3, 12x. Then next, we're going to multiply the negative 5 times x, negative 5 times the 3. So we're going to have negative 5x and then negative 15. Then we put back our plus, and then now we're going to expand the other two that we need to expand. So 2x minus 3 times x plus 1. So 2x is going to multiply the x. 2x is also going to multiply the 1. So 2x times x is going to give us 2x squared. 2x times 1 is going to give us positive 2x. And then next, let me use this blue. We're going to multiply negative 3 times x, negative 3 times 1. So negative 3 times x is going to give us negative 3x. Negative 3 times 1 is going to give us negative 3. And all of that is equal to 414. So let's go ahead and simplify. So we're going to look at the x squares, which will give us 4x squared plus 2x squared, which will give us 6x squared. Next, we're going to look at the x's. So we're going to have positive 12x, negative 5x, plus 2x, and negative 3x. So when we calculate all of that, 12x minus 5x is going to give us 7x. 7x plus 2x, which is going to give us 9x, minus 3x, which is going to give us plus 6x. And then now, last but not least, the constants, negative 15 and negative 3. So negative 15 minus 3 is going to give us negative 18. And all of this is equal to 414. So now, it gave us what we need to show. So we need to equate this to 0. So we're going to carry the 414 over the other side by minusing. So minus on both sides. So negative 18 and then the minus 414 is going to give us negative 432. So then we're going to have 6x squared plus 6x minus 432 equal to 0. So now, we're still not finished because we have not showed x squared plus x minus 72 equal to 0. So we need to look through and see whether or not we can simplify or we could divide. So looking at this, we have 6 at the front. We have 6 here, 6 here. So let us check if we could actually divide 432 by 6. Yes, we can. So we could then divide the whole equation by 6, which will then give us x squared plus x minus 72 equal to 0. And we just showed what we needed to show. All right? So pretty simple. Is there any questions at this time? All right. So I hope everyone is following and making your notes. So let us continue. So now we move on to question 3. The diagram below shows a semicircle with diameter AC. B is a point on the circumference, and AB equal BC is equal to 8.2 centimeters. All right. And over here I have a little diagram to help in the remembrance of parts of a circle. So looking at this diagram, we have a semicircle, and we also have a triangle inside that semicircle, and the two of its sides are equal based on the lines that are on the sides, which indicates that these sides are equal. So if over here is 8.2, the other side is also 8.2 centimeters. All right. So basically you have an isosceles triangle. So now let us see what we need to answer. So part 1, state the geometrical name of the line AB. So AB is right here. So looking at the parts of our circle, the diagram, we would therefore figure out that this line is not a radius because it doesn't go through the center. It's also not a diameter either because it doesn't go through the center. So which other line could we look at? The other line that we could look at is the chord, which stems from one end of the circle to the other end without passing through the center. So the geometrical name of line AB would be a chord. All right, easy, 1 mark. So let's continue. Find the value of the radius of the circle. So if you remember, this is a little property from circle theorem, even though we're not really doing that right now, but you can apply that little property here, where since this is a semicircle, AC would be a diameter, and the two lines AB and BC is subtended to create an angle from that diameter, which is a 90-degree angle. Or you could also use angle in a semicircle is 90 degrees. All right. So that means that this is a right-angled triangle. And we are to find the radius. So to find the radius, we have to find AC. So since it's a right-angled triangle, we could use Pythagoras' theorem, which states that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So we need to identify our a, b, and c. So the longer side is always pointed from the right angle. So that means that AC would be our c squared. All right, well, it would be the c in the c squared. And then the 8.2 would be the a and the b. So we're going to have 8.2 squared plus 8.2 squared equal to c squared. All right. So using our calculator, we're going to figure out what 8.2 squared is equal to. Which gives us 67.24. So 67.24 plus 67.24 give us 134.48 equal to c squared. But we are not at the finish line as yet. We need to find c. So to find c, which is being squared, we have to do the opposite of squared, which is square roots. So we're going to square roots both sides. So square rooting both sides will then give us 11.611, and it goes on. However, we will use 3 decimal places, or you could even use 3 significant figures, up to you. But C would be equal to 11.611. All right. However, what we have just found is a diameter. So we're still not finished. And we know that the radius would be half of the diameter. So we then need to find half of 11.611, which we would simply divide by 2. Which will give us 5.8055. And we're going to simplify it to 3 decimal places, which will give us 5.806 centimeters. All right. Any questions at this time? All right. So everybody's following and everybody is understanding. So let's continue. So here in part B, it says each interior angle of a regular polygon is 160 degrees. Calculate the number of sides of the polygon. So to do this, we need to remember that exterior angle plus interior angle adds up to 180 degrees. And then another formula that we could use to find exterior angle is dividing 360 degrees by the number of sides. All right. So let's go now. So we are given the interior angle. So if we are using the first equation, we're going to use that to find our exterior angle. So exterior angle plus interior angle, which they have given us, which is 160 degrees, is equal to 180 degrees. So our exterior angle, let's call it EX degrees, would then be equal to 180 minus 160, which would then give us 20 degrees. So now, we're still trying to find the number of sides of the polygon. So now that we know the exterior angle, we can then use the next equation. So exterior angle is 20 degrees, is equal to 360 degrees divided by n. So we need to find n. So we're going to transpose, and then we're going to get this to be equal to n equal to 360 over 20 degrees. 2 into 36 goes 18. So that means that n would be equal to 18 sides. All right. So very simple. So let us continue. The diagram below shows a trapezium A drawn on a square grid. So it gave us instructions to use the trapezium to draw the image after it undergoes a reflection in the line x equal -1, and then we're going to label this image A prime. So now, let me zoom out a little bit. So first things first, we need to reflect this trapezium in the line x equal -1. So we need to identify that line first. So we will look on the x-axis to see where x is equal to -1. So it's right here. So that means that it's going to be a vertical line on that point. All right. So this is our x equal -1 line. All right. So to reflect this trapezium, we need to remember that when we're reflecting anything, it has to be equidistant from the mirror line. So the mirror line currently is x equal -1. So if we pay attention, we know that this point here, 1, 2 centimeters from mirror line. Other point is 1, 2, 3 centimeters from the mirror line. So we can basically do the same thing on the other side. So you have to count backwards, 3, 2, 1. So that point will be here. And then same thing, 2, 1. Our next point will be here. And then we can just simply fill in the other points, which we know is going to be right behind each. So let us draw that in. So that is the quickest way, but if you would like to actually work it out, there's no problem. But remember, we are working with time. So always remember, whenever you're reflecting a shape or an image, you're going to always remember that it has to be equidistant from the mirror line. And there goes, you get your 2 marks very easily. Oh wait, we have to label it A prime. So now we get our full 2 marks. So let's continue now. It says translation with vector for -7 and label this image A double prime. So now you could work this out, finding the points of each vertex on the trapezium. However, we don't need to do that. We don't need to find the points of the trapezium. A faster method would be to look at each point and then follow the directions based on the translation vector. So for -7 suggests that we're going to move 4 to the right because it is +4. And -7 means we're going to move 7 times down. So 7 steps downwards. Since it is negative. All right. Because if you remember, for horizontal, right is positive, left is negative. And then for the vertical, up is positive and down is negative. So let us do that. So we start, let us use this point here. We start to go, let me hear about the numbers from before. So we're going to start from the first point here. We're going to jump to the right 4 times and then jump downwards 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4 to the right, 7 downwards now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is our first point. All right. You can do that for the rest, but because of time, we could simply just mirror or basically copy how the trapezium would normally look. So we know that this point would be 2 steps backwards from the point that we just moved. So that means it's going to be right here. And then the others will follow suit. Then we can go ahead and put in our lines. Okay, it's not giving me the image that I would like. Let's try it once more. It's not working out at all for me. All right, I'm going to have to freehand because I don't have a ruler feature on this. Let me try to be as accurate as possible. And maybe I'll need to change the color that is easier to see. So this would be our A prime prime. All right. So very simple. So that is the quickest way. However, if you want to use the calculative way where you find each point of the trapezium and then you translate by, so let's say this first point here, -3, 2. We could simply add 4 and -7 to it, which would then give us -1 and then -5. And if you check, oh, sorry, not -1, +1 and -5. And if you check, that is actually our first point, 1, -5. All right. So it's up to you if you want to do it that way, whichever way is comfortable for you. Is there any questions at this time? All right. So let us continue. All right. Question 4. Consider the following functions: 3 over x plus 2, which is f of x, 4x minus 5, which is g of x, and x squared plus 1, which is h of x. So for part A, part 1, for what value of x is f of x undefined? So whenever we're trying to find when a function is undefined, we need to find what would make the denominator equal to 0. All right? So the value of x, of f of x, when the denominator is equal to 0. So f of x is (3 over x plus 2), and then we could isolate the denominator and equate it to 0 to find what value would make the denominator become 0. So when we transpose by subtracting by -2 on both sides, we're going to get x equal to -2. So that is a value of x which would make our function f of x undefined. All right? Because if you divide anything by 0, if you put it in a calculator, you will get math error, syntax error, undefined, basically. So the next, we need to find the value of g of 1 over 4. So we know that gx is equal to 4x minus 5. So we're going to simply substitute our x value for 1 over 4. So now 4 times 1 over 4 would give us 4 over 4 minus 5, which is then 1 minus 5, which is equal to -4. So the answer is -4. Next, h of x is equal to x squared plus 1. So h of -3, all we'll do is substitute our x value for -3. So -3 squared would give us +9 plus 1, which would give our answer to become 10. So very simple. So now we have f of f0. So if we have a composite function on our hands. So f of x is equal to 3 over x plus 2. We could go ahead and write another fraction for the x and then put in 0. But the easiest way is to find f of 0 first. So f of 0 would be equal to 3 divided by x will be 0 in this case, plus 2, which will give us 3 over 2. So since f of 0 is 3 over 2, we can then substitute that into the next function, f of x. So we're going to have f of f0 will be equal to 3 over 2 plus 2. We're going to go ahead and work that out. So we're going to have 3 over 2 plus 2. If we were to change that to a fraction, it would be 2 over 1. So 2 will become 2 over 1 So let me work it out separately, so there's not much confusion. So 3 over 2 plus 2 over 1 will give us, or LCM would use as 2. So then whatever we do to the denominator, 2 times 1 give us 2. So we're going to do that to the numerator also. So we're going to give us 4 over 2. When we add that, we get 3 plus 4, 7 over 2. So it's going to be 3 divided by 7 over 2, which would we then could simplify as 3. We're going to flip. So let me show why we flip. If we were to write this out, we would have 3 divided by 7 over 2. And we're going to use our acronym to help us remember what to do when we have this case of division of fractions, which is keep the first fraction, change the sign, and flip the second fraction. So that's KCF. So keep the first fraction, which is 3 over 1. Change the sign to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction, which is going to become 2 over 7. So our answer is 3 times 2, 6. 7 times 1, 7. So our answer is 6 over 7. All right. Any questions at this time? All right, so everybody's good. So let us continue. Write an expression in its simplest form for g of h of x. All right. So g of x is equal to 4x minus 5, and h of x is equal to x squared plus 1. So we're going to put one function into the other function. So let's go. So we're going to have g of h of x equal to 4, and then the h of x is going to become the x of 4x minus 5. So we're going to be 4 times x squared plus 1. Then we're going to have minus 5. So we're going to simplify this. So we're going to distribute the 4 inside the bracket. 4 times x squared gives us 4x squared. 4 times 1 gives us 4 minus 5. And if we continue to simplify, we're going to get 4x squared minus 1. However, if you remember your rules in math, what we have written here is a difference of 2 squares. So we could also rewrite this as 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 1. All right, which will then give us back our 4x squared and our negative 1. So let us continue. So find the inverse of g, negative 2. So first things first, we need to find the inverse of g. And then afterwards, we can substitute our x to be negative 2. So let us continue. So we're going to have let us call g inverse y. So we're going to have y equal to 4x minus 5. And then we're going to swap the x and the y interchange. So we're going to have x equal to 4y minus 5. And we are going to then find y by making y the subject. So to do that, we need to remove the 5 by adding on both sides. So we're going to have x plus 5 equal to 4y. And then next, we're going to divide by 4. So our inverse, which is y, equal to x plus 5 over 4. So then g inverse of negative 2, we're going to substitute our negative 2 into what we have just found. So it's going to be negative 2 plus 5 over 4. So negative 2 plus 5 would give us 3 over 4. So pretty simple. And remember, whilst you're in the exam, always remember to check over where necessary. And is there any questions at this time? All right, so everybody's understanding so far. So it's always nice to check over. So we are good so far. So let's continue. So each of 75 girls, did I miss any question? No. So each of 75 girls recorded the name of her favorite sports. The number of girls who chose track and cricket are shown on the bar charts below. So we have swimming, tennis, track, cricket, and football. How many more girls chose cricket than track as their favorite sport? So here, we're going to look at track and cricket, and we're going to have to read our graph so that we can be accurate to know how much girls chose cricket than track. So cricket would have been, so we have 16 here. We have to be careful. So it's going up by 2 because it's 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 18, and cricket is right in between. So that means that cricket would be 17. And then for a track would be 12. So to find how many more girls, would subtract 12 from 17, which would give us 5 girls. All right. So now 11 girls recorded tennis as their favorite sport. So we need to put that into our graph. So tennis would be 11 girls. So let's look on the graph. And since we realize that in between is going to be our 11, so we have 10 here, 12 here, and then in between would be our 11. So we're going to draw as accurately as possible. And that would be our 11 girls for tennis. For the remainder of girls, the number who chose swimming compared to who chose football was in the ratio of 2:3. So based on what we just found, we need to figure out how much is that remaining girls. So using the little space that we have here is going to be 11 plus 12 plus 17. Could quickly use our calculator to match that up real quick, which is 40 girls, and that is 40 out of a total of 75. So 75 minus 40 will then give us 35. And we're going to use the 2-3 ratio to find out who is swimming compared to football. So 2 of 5 times 35, and then also 3 over 5 times 35. So 5 into itself one time, 5 into 35, 7. So it's 2 7s, 14. Again, 3 7s, 21. So that means that football is 21 and swimming is 14. All right. So almost finish this part. So let us quickly draw this. So that represents our 14 for swimming. And for football, it's going to be 21. So 21 will be at the halfway mark between 20 and 22. So that is going to be right here. All right. So determine the modal sport. Now we know what the modal is. The mode of any graph is going to be the highest frequency. And football has the highest frequency of girls. So your answer would be football. So the last thing now is to find the probability that a girl chose neither track nor cricket as her favorite sport. So the final probability is going to be number of favorable outcomes over total number of outcomes. So track and cricket is out of it. So cricket and track, 12 plus 17. Would be equal to 29. So 29 subtracted from 75, since it's 75 total girls, will give us 46. So our number of favorable outcomes is going to be 46, and total number of outcomes will be 75. And if we simplify this, well, it can't be simplified. You could also put the probability as a decimal, 0.613. So I hope that all of you were able to learn today, and that this is one step in the right direction for you to pass your CSEC exam. So I encourage all of you to continue studying, continue practicing, and you will do well. So this is from me to you, signing out for mathematics.